Hello. So I wanted to come on today and talk about how to get rid of sugar cravings. So in this sugar series that we're doing, we've already spoken about why sugar is addicting, why we feel such a pull to it, how it causes inflammation in the body and nutrient deficiencies. And now I want to talk about what we actually do about this, because arguably that's the most important part. Now we know these things and we know that we're on this blood sugar roller coaster. What do we do about it? So I talked about in the first video, paying attention to the dips in energy that you experience throughout the day and your sugar cravings. Cravings are really, really good information. A lot of times we push them down because we don't want to feel them, but they can really tell us a lot about what our body needs at that moment. So if you paid attention to throughout the day, when do you experience energy dips? When do you feel low? And when do you crave sugar or an easy boost of energy? Maybe you're craving caffeine at the same time too. So if you found that you're experiencing this around 2 or 3 p.m., which is typically when people say that they experience this, not always, but typically, we're going to use that as kind of the model. So what we want to do is balance your blood sugar so you're not experiencing these low lows and you're not stuck on this blood sugar roller coaster. So the first way to do that is to eat regularly. And I know that sounds really obvious, but if you pay attention and see throughout the day, maybe you get really, really busy. Maybe you skip breakfast. Maybe you eat breakfast and then you realize there's 4 or 5 hours in the day where you've had back-to-back meetings. You haven't actually eaten anything. So by the time it gets to 3 or 4 p.m., your energy is tanked because you haven't had any good fuel in your body. And you're experiencing these blood sugar crashes and the feelings that come along with them, which puts us back in this vicious cycle that we get stuck in. So the first thing is to eat regularly, and that involves a little bit of planning. It might involve bringing some snacks, making sure you have things with you. It might involve a little bit of meal planning to make sure you've got a lunch with you if you're on the go. It might involve actually putting it as a priority, maybe setting it into your calendar that you're gonna make time for a real lunch to sit down and eat some food, or maybe even an afternoon snack as well. So eating regularly is the first step. And then of what you're eating regularly, you wanna see what is this being made up of? What are you eating? So when we wanna balance blood sugar, we wanna include a mix of protein, good fats, fiber, and carbohydrates. So when you're having this mix of everything, you're not just eating carbohydrates and experiencing a big old blood sugar increase followed by a big blood sugar crash. You're having a more slow, even burn of energy so that your blood sugar stays more stable with these proteins and fats and fibers that you have on board. So that could look something like having a salad with some greens and fiber. You could have a little bit of roast chicken on top of that for some protein, a little bit of avocado or olive oil or nuts and seeds for some good fats on top of there. And if you needed carbohydrates, you're going to want to choose more complex carbohydrates like whole grains rather than these like refined carbohydrates that we spoke about before, you know, the bagels and pastas and sugary things. So more like whole grains or vegetable sources of carbohydrates like sweet potatoes, root vegetables like parsnips, beets, things like this. So you want that balance. And if you're someone that finds yourself super hungry all the time, it's likely that you're not getting a good balance of protein or fat with your meals, and they might be too heavy in the carbohydrates. So the number one thing you can do is if you have identified, okay, every day around 2 or 3 p.m., I get this energy crash. I can't control my sugar cravings. I find myself walking down the hall to the candy store. I grab a handful of Hershey's Kisses. I'm saying this because literally I did this when I worked at the hospital, and a coffee to get me through. What you can do is mindfully put about a half an hour before you know that this happens every day, put in a snack that's going to help balance your blood sugar, a snack that includes protein and fat. So this could be something like, you know, you could do an apple and almond butter. You could do shredded chicken and blueberries with some olive oil on it. You could have a little bit of a small meal that you've had. You can do, you know, some good quality deli meat and avocado and veggies, something that has a mix of protein and fat. And you're going to put that mindfully about half hour or so before you have your usual crash. And that's going to help keep your blood sugar stable so that it doesn't dip super low and you get these feelings of low blood sugar like irritability, feeling really hungry, lightheaded, and then you are driven to choose really sugary foods that are going to boost your energy from there. So that's the number one thing I can say to do to help stabilize your blood sugar. There are a few other things to think about, but that's the first place. Start there, work on eating regularly, which is going to involve a little bit of planning, and always thinking protein, fat, fiber, and then good quality complex carbohydrates in there. So that's really going to help you to stabilize everything and help with those cravings. There can sometimes be an emotional component to them as well. So pay attention to cravings, pay attention to what's going on, you know, even after a craving or after you ate a bunch of sweets. What happened 30 minutes before? Was it something that made you feel uncomfortable or lonely or sad? And that triggered it as well. So there's a few different components here. So start paying attention and keep getting curious about what your cravings are trying to tell you about what your body needs. So I hope that is helpful for you. If you need any more support on this, I'm so happy to help. This is what I do, really tailoring it to you individually and figuring out how we can balance blood sugar, skyrocket energy, and address a lot of these underlying issues that might be making you feel subpar and just sort of like you're surviving or getting by. So if you are feeling that way and you feel like you're on this up and down and your food is controlling you, not the other way around, I can help you. So leave a question here, send me a message. You can send me an email, info@christinatidwell.com. You can head to my website, christinatidwell.com. I always offer free 30-minute discovery calls for people to create a plan of action for you and really get clear on what's standing in your way. So that's always an option for you as well. Okay, I hope it was helpful. Thank you.